but there was still a good amount of Star Wars that came out in 2024.
Yeah.
We'll start with the easy stuff. Television. We had three things. We had Tales of the Empire, the little animated anthology series that goes
Yes.
along with what was Tales of the Jedi, the first one.
Mhm.
Pete, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't watch all of Tales of the
Oh,
Empire.
yeah, that's okay, actually, because I watched, I think I watched them all. I did watch them all, but here's the thing with those. It's funny, there's certain Star Wars things that I don't like. I'm
Yeah.
they feel like very few and far between, but there are things that I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And
Yeah,
that
I'll
for
be
some
fine.
reason was one of them. So yeah,
Yep.
yep,
Yeah, and that was me. I did watch, I think, all of Tales of the Jedi.
yep,
As far as I know, because I know we get to the point where Ahsoka's learning to be stunned, which shows up in Clone Wars season 7, and
yep.
all that kind of stuff. But I didn't watch all of Tales of the Empire. What I
Mm,
did watch was I watched all of the Acolyte, which was a delightful series. It was enjoyable. It was not without its challenges, bumps. For me
sure.
personally, I think most of it was around pacing. It was around some of the storytelling decisions, not the story itself. um I know you felt the same way. That was kind of our common conversation. Was honestly, I think Acolyte could have been a really good 2 to 2.5 hour movie.
I agree. I agree. And the thing that makes Acolyte such an interesting conversation, and again, something we could do a full hour on. I saw a tweet today that I against my better judgment, I responded to. In fact, I'm going to pull a little. I won't show it on screen here because I probably won't
Yeah.
be able to do that. But I do want to look at what it said exactly because I took issue with it. And I think the problem is it's becoming a pervasive kind of commentary. And
Hmm.
the comment, well, here it is. Look at that. I'm getting faster and faster Twitter. Um, they said, can't believe the fandom menace. It was a person named Colby. And they said, I can't believe that Fandom Menace got away with getting this show canceled. This franchise is so fast paced that we almost never get slower emotional scenes. We get a lot of emotional blah, blah, blah. Not to blah, 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 what they're saying. But the point being, my response was the Fandom Menace did not get the show canceled. Viewership was awful, and there's
Yep.
no way around that. And it was too expensive a show. We just talked about what that impact was, and I think I think for better or worse, it was a key learning moment for Star Wars and how they responded to the fans or not responded to the fans. And the truth of the matter is, it wasn't the trolls that got it canceled. It wasn't the racists and the bigots and just the shitty people who had things to say about it. The
Yep.
show just didn't work. I mean, you and I reference our dads all the time as sort of the common Star Wars fans,
Hmm.
the normies. My dad said he just couldn't get into any of the characters, and I think that's really the problem. We enjoyed it from a lore level. I mean, I can't speak
Right.
for specifically what you're saying, but I really enjoyed the lore. I enjoyed what it was trying to do. I felt like it was choppy. I felt like all kinds of other issues, but for whatever reason, it just didn't catch with the average fan. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the YouTube grifter said. I mean, it may have influenced a percentage of the fans, but for the most part, that's not what killed the Acolyte.
No, not at all. It was a business decision at the end of the
Yep.
day.
Yep.
Plain and simple, it was a business decision. If it had been gangbusters, if people had been losing their mind talking about how good
Sure.
it was, they would have said, you know what? Let's make some more because people are coming to it. But
Yep.
that wasn't what happened. It wasn't a bad, it just wasn't good enough. Maybe
Yep.
that's how we look at it.
Yep.
Yeah, and KG has a great point. Where'd my cursor go? KG said, I like Khmer and it was enjoyable, but it was still lacking. There wasn't a return on investment. And that's how Disney makes its decisions. As hard as that is, as not fun as that is,
Yep.
that's where the answers come from. That's where it's, where it lies. The other thing TV wise that we got in this year is still going on, Skeleton
Mhm.
Crew.
Yep.
Skeleton Crew has been, for me personally, a delight, a breath
Mhm.
of fresh air, something that I look forward to every week. I will say that this week was probably, if I'm ranking the episodes that have come out so far, it was the bottom of my list.
Hmm.
But it is a fun show. It feels very Star Wars. It doesn't feel wrapped up in being too serious with lore, and it's just fun Star Wars, which is what we want Star Wars at the end of the day to be.
I think that's the biggest challenge for it. It's funny, there's a handful of, I've mentioned them before, but there's a handful of podcasts that I listen to, and I like their after shows and things like that.
Hmm.
I honestly, I feel like people are really looking too hard for the connections, and
Okay.
I don't want people to be disappointed. I love what that show is all about. I actually,
Go ahead.
it's hard. Yeah, there's one other thing that came out this year, and that is some of the Young Jedi Adventures. I think there was another
Yes.
part of a
More
season.
seasons of Young Jedi Adventures.
So again, I haven't watched all of them. I've truly, honestly, only watched the ones that Greg is a part of.
That's correct.
So Greg Iwinski, friend of the show, actually now personal friend Nick has been known to just text him with questions and comments, and Greg has been known to, it's so funny, every now and then Nick will be like, yeah, Greg just said this about whatever came on, and it's very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's a great show that's a great avenue to let more and more people into the Star Wars universe. So
And that's what it's about.